Hi, this is David Snyder, one of the co-creators of Lit Protocol. In this video, we're going to cover what is Lit, some of the features available that are a focus of this hackathon, as well as a number of ideas for products and services that you can build. But let's start with the fundamental question. At Lit, our building journey has followed from the following question. What is the most practical and secure way to accelerate towards a decentralized future? This question has guided our attention to focus on key material, specifically around the recognition that key material can be used as a programming primitive and also managed across a decentralized network. And that has led to the solution that we've had in market with the V0 since February of 2024, which is a network for decentralized programmable keys. This primitive acts as a base layer for a number of Web3 products. Everything you see on this slide, there's one or more teams building that are venture-backed and building in these categories. So now let's talk a little bit about how the system works. Lit Protocol is a multi-party computation threshold secret scheme network that runs inside of secure encrypted virtualization. Now let's break that down. Each node consists of a sealed hardware environment, that's the encrypted VM, and it is sealed such that the node operator cannot see any of the material inside of it. And inside of that sealed environment, there is a key share as well as a JavaScript execution environment. Now, as you can see on the right side of the slide, a number of these nodes make up the network. And in order to successfully have the network deliver a signature or a decryption, 2/3 of the key shares from within these disparate sealed hardware environments need to authorize any use of the key. Now, naturally, this is all happening programmatically because it is in the context and in the confines of the sealed hardware environment. So traditionally, the way that signing and decryption has worked within Lit is that a user says, hey, Lit nodes, please generate a signature with my key, and those nodes send the authorization, provided that it passes the checks associated with any logic that's running in the node, to that individual, who then takes that transaction after combining a threshold of the shares and broadcasts it to a blockchain, or uses that signature to decrypt some content. Now recently, and this is the focus of this hackathon, we've launched the ability to sign and decrypt within Lit, which is to say, one of the nodes is collecting the authorizations such that you can decrypt information within the sealed hardware environment or sign and broadcast transactions directly from Lit. This new functionality opens up a wide variety of application use cases, which we will cover right now. Starting with artificial intelligence, you can see there's two products that are mentioned here, and by no means is this list exclusive. There's certainly many things that you could build with this that are not going to be mentioned today. But what we've got mentioned here is community-owned AI agents. What you can envision here is an interest group, like a subreddit. If they are encrypting and storing their data with Lit on the open web, like on Arweave or IPFS, then there could be an application that decrypts that data within the Lit sealed hardware environment and does some analysis or some inference or some training across that vast data set. And you can almost imagine a subreddit being represented by an avatar that then another user could interface with. Also, there's self-sovereign labeling. Similar to this previous setup with community-owned AI agents, the data that is uploaded to the open web can be decrypted in Lit and then analyzed or labeled in a way that is working inside of functionally a data clean room, whereby nobody is able to see the user's data, but is still able to get labels based on the algorithm that is run there. Now let's talk a little bit about identity. On identity, there's a few things that can be explored. One would be cross-platform social, where users can control and aggregate data from all their social platforms, including Web 2, by having a user's encrypted API key decrypted within lit, and then using that API key from within lit to fetch or post data. We can also talk about privacy-preserving verification, which is similar to the self-sovereign labeling. For example, a user could upload their driver's license. It could be encrypted and stored on IPFS, and then if they needed to prove whether or not they were over 21, the driver's license could be decrypted in lit. You could run some OCR on it to pull out their birth date, and then have the system return a signature that either says true or false, this user is over 21. And finally, you can use this system for private credentials. In this example, a user may request a verifiable credential to prove something about themselves, but they don't want to reveal that data to the issuer. This data could be sent to lit, where the logic determines if the user should receive the credential, yes or no. Again, kind of thinking about this in the context of data as a data clean room where you can do compute over private data. Now let's talk a little bit about decentralized finance. As you can see here, there are a few things to explore. One would be trading bots as a service or on subscription. So typically, if you're going to develop a trading bot, you would license that trading bot software to somebody who would need to set it up on their own backend, because the key material really matters a lot here. But in the context of building this kind of system on lit, you could have the key managed in lit, and you could even have the strategies that the bot is going to execute encrypted and stored on the open web, and then decrypted and then run across a user's key. You could also explore using this tooling to do automated arbitrage between decentralized and centralized exchanges. This again would be another example of using lit to control a Web 2 API in a privacy-preserving way. And then we've also got the example of setting up a stop-loss order on a DEX. Here, lit action could be used to create a private stop-loss order on a DEX. The order details would be decrypted within lit, and when the trigger price is hit, the assets would be automatically sold. Let's talk a little bit about gaming. One gaming project to pursue would be autonomous on-chain NPCs, where non-player characters like a shopkeeper can potentially use off-chain data in an on-chain game, since all the logic and signing can execute within lit protocol without the game developer having to run a server for that NPC or manage key material for that NPC. Another thing to explore is on-chain games that have elements of privacy. For example, poker. In a poker example, players' hands would be encrypted and stored on-chain. When a player wants to make a move, bet, call, fold, they'd initiate a lit action, some of this logic, that would then decrypt all of the player's hands within the lit sealed hardware environment, run the game logic to determine the winner of the hand, and then update the outcome and game state back on chain. You could also use a lit action to distribute the pot at the end of a hand. And then one more idea on gaming would be dynamic NFTs. In this example, you could use the functionality of signing within an action to dynamically update NFT attributes based on some external data, perhaps achievement within a game, without compromising the security of the NFT ownership. And now, as it relates to ideas, we'll just end on a couple thoughts as it relates to generalized Web3 infrastructure. First things first, let's talk about a private oracle. You could use lit to read from a trusted data source. In the past, we've seen teams connect this to systems like Plaid to get a user's fiat information. But it could be for pricing data or anything else, and then either write the results of that data to the blockchain or process something about that data in lit and then write a different result or a proof to the blockchain. There's really a lot to explore here as it relates to private personal data. We've mentioned this a few times, but the generalized way to enable on-chain control of APIs is definitely a powerful new primitive that can be explored with the notion of decrypting an API key for something like Claude, for example, within lit, and then using smart contracts or other controls to dictate how and when that API gets called. And of course, the outputs from those APIs could be used as inputs for further orchestration and programs. And then finally, one more idea to mention is the notion of chain abstraction. This has been a popular thing that teams are using lit protocol for, whereby you can have a singular interface, and because a user can have child keys within lit, they can use that single interface to write transactions to destination blockchains, where the source or the intent is either on a single blockchain or a single app. So those are just some ideas. There's a lot to explore here. This is a new primitive in terms of a decentralized programmable key for signing and decryption that also enables compute over private data. So we're really excited to see what thoughtful applications and protocols you come up with. And you can use these links to find lit protocol on X, and the below QR code will have links to a blog post that has information about the features of signing and decrypting within lit that are the focus for this event. Thanks so much. Best of luck building, and we can't wait to see what you come up with. Let us know if you have any questions in Discord or anything else. Thanks again.